such a time as this.
And welcome back to For Such a Time as This, the place where there is no such thing as a silent witness. We're going to continue discussing our End Times weekly discussion with Rick. How are you, Rick?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you, Pastor.
Good. We would just want to start off by mentioning one of our sponsors. Full Armor. The Full Armor of God is a t-shirt company that allows you to witness without opening your mouth. You can find the t-shirts at fullarmor.shop, fullarmor.shop, not .com, not .org, .shop, fullarmor.shop. Be warned, only the strong can wear these t-shirts. All right, discussing End Times. Rick, where are we?
Well, we're going to start off with what's going on with, they're looking for Sinwar. When are they going to Rafah? When are a lot of stuff going on in Lebanon? Not much going on Yemen right now.
Not much in Yemen. I think it's
nothing
quiet
for
on that
Yemen.
front.
It's quiet on the on that front.
Here's a 2-minute update. Here we go.
With a ground operation in Gaza's southern city of Rafah looming, IDF forces continue to deepen their operation throughout the Strip. In southern Gaza's Khan Yunis, the current focal point of the IDF's offensive, Israeli forces raided Hamas sites, captured weapons, and killed dozens of terrorists. In Gaza's so-called central camps, Israeli forces intensified strikes in the areas of Nusirat and Deir el-Balah, while in the north, forces have renewed intense fighting in the outskirts of Gaza City, calling on residents of 2 neighborhoods to once again evacuate south to the coastal humanitarian zone.
حالة من النزوح بين الناس في المناطق الشرقية الجنوبية الشرقية لمدينة غزة وتحديد حي الزيتون. كما لاحظنا الناس تنزح نتيجة ضربات وسلسلة أحزمة نارية كانت أمس في هذه المنطقة.
As IDF forces zero in on Gaza's border city of Rafah, the Saudi newspaper Elaf reported Israeli authorities have information that suggests Hamas leader in Gaza, Yahya Sinwar, recently fled to Egypt through the tunnels under Rafah. In fear, he took Israeli hostages with him. The IDF denied the report, saying it has no information that Sinwar has left the Strip, as it dropped leaflets with recently released images of Sinwar fleeing underground at the beginning of the war. The leaflet raised a question to Gaza residents, asking, is the fate of Sinwar's children more important than the fate of your own? Meanwhile, the IDF also released footage it found in Gaza showing Israeli hostage Shiri Bibas and her 2 young children, Ariel and Kfir, in Khan Yunis hours after they were kidnapped from their home in Kibbutz Nir Oz on October 7th. But the video does not reveal anything new about their current condition, further highlighting the uncertainty revolving the fate of the remaining 134 hostages.
The world must know, and Hamas leaders must know, if by Ramadan hostages are not home, the fighting will continue everywhere to include Rafah area.
In the meantime, Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh arrived in Cairo on Tuesday for talks with Egyptian officials, a sign of a potential breakthrough over a much-anticipated hostage deal.
So Israel is going to continue fighting on Ramadan.
Yes, they're going to continue. They're going to focus on Han Yunis right now, and they are going into if the hostages don't get returned, they're going to go into Rafah, which is on the border of Israel and Gaza.
But during their holy time,
yes, they are. They says,
"Oh, okay.
We don't care about your holy day.
Okay, here we go.
We'll show you what a holy day is.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna make you meet your God on your holy
We're
days.
gonna put a bunch of holes in you on your holy day.
Yeah, and of course it won't be their God because there's only one God.
Right, one God.
They're gonna meet Yahweh, and then they're gonna find out they're wrong. But they said at the end of that video, it says that he met with the officials in Egypt.
Okay, right now, no one can get in contact with Sinwar. His communications, his soldiers can't get in contact with him.
Is that the head of Hamas?
Yamar Sinwar, yeah.
Okay,
I forgot how to pronounce his name. The guy that they're looking for that has been the leader of Hamas in Gaza.
Gotcha.
There's no communications with him. His men don't know where he is. Qatar, who has a lot of support for Sinwar and Hamas, they have no contact with him right now. So no one really knows where he is.
He's that afraid, huh? He's maybe in one of those tunnels somewhere.
Yeah, one of those tunnels. They
no,
say that
he's in Paris somewhere in a 5-star hotel.
Yeah, he
while
might
the
be.
Other people are struggling. That's how evil men do.
Yeah,
they want you to suffer, but then they're not going to suffer.
Yeah,
they're not going to suffer.
That could be.
So.
Well, he's not answering his phone if he's in Paris.
Because he's afraid that if he answers that phone, it might be the IDF on the other end tracking his phone call.
That drone will be right above him.
Drone right above him. So, all right, here we go. Here's the next update.
Today, after a long hiatus, the total numbers have been announced again. The Israeli Ministry of Defense has specified the exact figures. According to Israeli intelligence, at the beginning of the war, there were a total of 30,000 terrorists in the Gaza Strip. Most of these Hamas members were in the center of Gaza and the city of Khan Yunis. As you can see, Israel identified these two cities as the main targets to break the organization. Although some terrorists fled to other cities, they managed to achieve their goals to some extent. Israeli warplanes and other vehicles have hit a total of 29,000 targets. Hamas checkpoints, depots, and militants have been neutralized in this way. According to the Ministry of Defense, a total of 12,000 terrorists have been eliminated when everything is taken into account. Moreover, this number only includes those who have been completely neutralized. According to the information provided, thousands of terrorists are either wounded or surrendered. So, to give an approximate figure, Israel has neutralized a total of 17,000 Hamas members. This means more than half of the organization has been eliminated. The initial objectives of the war have largely been achieved. 30,000 members indeed posed a significant threat at the level of an army. Now that the fighting spirit of most of the remaining terrorists has been broken, Israeli soldiers can advance more quickly and easily. They just need to prevent the organization from recruiting new members and keep the situation under control.
There you go.
They've only hit 29,000 places.
How do you strike something 29 in such a small space?
Every hole, every shaft.
every car.
But there's over 2,000 shafts alone. Just shafts. Forget about tunnels. Over 500 miles of tunnels. Not to mention the buildings on top of them. All the schools, all the mosques, all the United Nations buildings. So it's a lot of stuff there, and so it's interesting. Hamas has lost around 17,000 killed or wounded. Israel has lost like 520 men to their 17,000. And if 30,000 have been killed, that's a less than 1-to-1 ratio. So
they said about 30,000 was there.
Right.
12,000 killed, 5,000 injured, something like that.
Yeah, so
some crazy
12,000 killed, 5,000 injured.
Yeah, I would say they're losing the numbers war.
Yes.
They are losing the number war. All right. I forgot to say this, but we're going to finish with the update, and then we're going to actually talk about who are the two witnesses. Okay, here's the last update from the Middle East.
Lastly, we are heading to the Lebanon border. Today, Israel attacked targets in the inner regions of Lebanon. As we have been saying for the past few days, Hezbollah is making shipments to strengthen itself. They are bringing weapons from the upper regions of Syria and the north of Lebanon. Of course, to expedite these shipments, they need a large number of generators and fuel. If you have a large number of weapons, you need high amounts of energy to sustain them. Terrorists have created large depots to meet this energy demand. Today, one of these depots was found after considerable effort. Despite the terrorists' attempts to conceal it without getting too close to the area, they failed. Israel discovered that fuel depots and a production facility were found in the Ghazieh city by Hezbollah. Terrorists were producing generators in this facility. They were using fuel from the adjacent depot to use them at the Israeli border. Israeli warplanes bombed these depots with powerful bombs, creating a high cloud of smoke. The depots, along with the fuels inside, were destroyed. Now, terrorists need to find different ways to transport weapons. Additionally, villages behind the border were heavily bombarded by Israeli artillery. It is said that terrorists have lost a few more members. In short, we can say that today has been Israel's day. we have reached the end of our video. We will continue to follow the region for you every day.
All right. So that's in the north, correct?
Right. North. Lebanon is north of Israel.
Mm-hmm. So, what do you, looking at that video, the blue area. What was the blue area?
I think that's the sites that they have hit on.
I know the blue dots, but there was some blue, looked like on a map, looked like some area had blue on it. Oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. But but they haven't gone all out in the north yet.
They haven't invaded yet,
Well,
but they are destroying a lot of.
but it's coming.
Hezbollah. Well, I don't know if you say they haven't started, because there's a lot of stuff that they've taken out already, and especially even in Lebanon, in the city.
Not in Beirut yet, though.
Close to Beirut suburbs.
But they're gonna go to Beirut when they turn their focus towards Lebanon. They're gonna go straight to Beirut.
So,
And they said they were going to do to Beirut. If Hezbollah kept it up, they were going to do to Beirut what they did to Gaza.
right. I guess seeing is not believing.
I think they think Israel's going to cave to world pressure. And from my understanding, I think the American the American administration is starting to ramp up their pressure on Netanyahu.
Well, yeah, they're
to stop.
starting to promote a two-nation state and what's going to happen to the Palestinians after war is over, and what are we going to do with them? Where are they going to go? And they're going to come back to Gaza, and Israel's going to let them control Gaza again. That's how naive they are.
That's what Israel said?
Well, I mean, that's what I'm implying.
Well, here's the thing. Tell Israel's going to tell United Nations, get them to sign a two-state solution, because they'll never do it.
No.
That will signal defeat. Okay, here's our signature on the Abrahamic Accords, or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Get their signature. Until their signature goes on that, we're going to keep bombing.
Right.
We're going to keep bombing. And I think the world is going to step in and stop Israel. Israel's on a war path. And I mean, they're taking them out.
Well, March 10th is where they're going all the way, as far as Gaza is concerned, if they don't get the hostages back.
Yeah. So, and I'm looking forward to that peace treaty, that UN peace treaty, because I think that's what starts the 7 years. I could be wrong.
Well, the peace treaty does start the 7 years.
Well, I could be wrong, but let's.
The peace treaty with many.
That will be a UN peace treaty that's going to be enforced on Israel
and other nations.
No, it's going to be forced on Israel, though, to stop knocking heads in the Middle East, right? A treaty with many, which I think the Antichrist will make, but he won't be revealed until midway.
Right.
He won't be revealed until midway. All right, here's our spiritual discussion for the day. The two witnesses. Who are they? You know, Rick, I have met several people who were, what do you want to call it, convinced, deluded that they were one of the two witnesses.
Seriously?
Seriously, I've met some. And then they came to faith.
Oh.
Yeah, but they thought they were there. There's a lot of delusion. That's not the word I'm thinking of. Delusion or deception. People thinking they're the two witnesses is pretty common. They say they're the two witnesses.
A number of people think it's a group of people. It's not just two witnesses. They think it's a group of people that are going to be witnessing and walking around spewing fire from their mouth and everything.
Well, we'll see. Here's where the text in all of this, Revelation 11:3, and I will grant authority to my two witnesses, and they will prophesy for 1260 days, clothed in sackcloth. Those are the 1260 days that are taken directly from Daniel, the end of the last chapter in Daniel, and they have to go back. At this time, remember, when Daniel wrote that book, what rule was Israel underneath? They were underneath
Rome.
Babylonian rule.
Babylonians, right.
Right? When Daniel writes that, depending on when he wrote, either Babylonian or the Persians. He might have been under the Persians by that time. We don't know.
Maybe when he was
at the end of the book. Yes,
Persians.
He starts off with, but even I think it's like chapter 2. chapter 5, I think, he actually talks about the handwritings on the wall. That was the fall of the Babylonian Empire, and then the Medes and the Persians came in, right?
Exactly, right.
So by the end, by the time you get to the lions, then that's the Persians.
That's the Persian, yes.
That's the Persians. So at the end, they wanted the Persian rule, which was close to Babylonian time frame. Well, now when John is writing this, they're underneath Roman rule. But he's still, and the reason why I say that, the importance of that is they had different calendars. They had different ways of keeping time. You had Middle Eastern time, Rome, and then Middle Eastern time, which was the Jews or the Aramaic time, and then you had the Romans, right? That's important because the whole thing about when was Jesus died. One gospel says the 12th hour, another says the 3rd hour. I forget which one. Well, there were different hours. There were different times of keeping, timekeeping. To say 1260, John is specifically referencing, because John would have been born and raised, and John would have known, I think, he would have known both of them, but writing to a larger audience would have been Roman time. The 1260, he is not mimicking, but he's referencing the end of Daniel, specifically 1260, right? Blessed is who makes it to 1260 days. And so when he says, I will grant authority to my 2 witnesses, and they will prophesy for 1260 days, clothed in sackcloth, he is specifically referencing Daniel. And then verse 4, these are the 2 olive tree and the 2 lampstands that stand before the Lord on the earth. The 2 olive trees we get from Zechariah. We here at New Hope, we're going through the book of Zechariah, and the 2 olive trees are found in Zechariah. They represent Israel. And then you have the 2 lampstands we get at the beginning of the book of Revelation. The lampstands are what? They are the churches.
The churches.
Clearly, right? So these are the 2 olive trees and the 2 lampstands that stand before the Lord on the earth. And if anyone would harm them, fire pours from their mouths and consumes their foes. If anyone would harm them, this is how he is doomed to be killed. So these are the 2 witnesses famous all throughout history. The 2 witnesses that are going to herald. Now, the question is timing, right?
Right.
Rick, you want to go first, or you want me to go first with the timing? With the 2 witnesses?
I don't want. I should go first so you don't confuse me with the facts.
Okay. No,
just kidding. We go back and forth.
You got your facts.
Okay, I believe the 2 witnesses come on the scene in the second half of the tribulation. I have a number of reasons. First of all, the 1260-day time frame, or 42 months, which is 1260 days, occur with Israel fleeing. These are all things that happen in the second half, I believe. Israelites free Jerusalem and go to Petra. Mm-hmm. God protects them for 1260 days. The Antichrist has power for 1260 days. Mm-hmm. The witnesses have power for 1260 days. Mm-hmm. And I'm missing one other,
but maybe I'm missing. What is that? How did that help out with the time frame?
Because
we agree on the 3.5 years.
Right. These are 3.5. The reason I say that, because it all appears after the. I think Revelation is pretty much chronological for the most part. Mm-hmm. We're in 7 and 8 and 9 were the trumpet judgments. 10 is where the angel comes down, and God is the angel. I believe Jesus Christ is making claim, I'm coming back for the earth, in chapter 10, and now 11, the witnesses show up. But all those things take place, I believe, in the second half. Mm-hmm. Also, in verse 2, I don't think we have that up there yet.
Oh, no, we don't have verse 2. Oh, you want verse 2?
Yeah, let's put it. It says,
Here we go.
Do not measure the court outside the temple. Leave that out, for it is given over to the nations, and they will trample the holy city for 42 months. Yes. I believe that takes place in the second half of the tribulation. Yes. So those are my reasons that I think the witnesses are in the second half. But I know there's differences of opinions. I know yours is different from mine. I hope I didn't confuse you with the facts, Pastor.
No, I don't think you did. I don't think you did. So, yeah, as Rick said, the question is the 2 witnesses. And I think we just to follow up on you don't want to talk about the Malachi 4:4?
Well, I'll do that at the end, but I want to
Gotcha.
I want to go through what they were told to do, that because it's important. What they're doing also gives some hints on who they might be.
Gotcha. So here's the thing. So going back to Revelation 11:3, grant authority over my 2 witnesses, and they will prophesy for 1260 days, clothed in sackcloth. These are the 2 olive trees and the lampstands that stand before the earth. If anyone would harm them, fire pours out of their mouth. So here you have in Revelation 11:3, which says that they you can't touch them for 3.5 years.
Exactly.
You can't touch them for 3.5 years, supernaturally protected. And I think so. The whole fire coming down from heaven, someone can say that that's missiles. That's fine, because John doesn't know what missiles are back when he's writing this. But they also have the power to shut the sky so it doesn't rain. We still haven't figured out how to do that yet in 2024.
Well,
so there's some supernatural stuff going on.
Okay,
there.
so what's interesting, we got the 2 witnesses, but then we have the false prophet and the beast, the Antichrist. So
comes
there's
after
2 and 2. And who does the beast think he is? He thinks he's God.
You think he's Christ? I think.
But
yes, I think.
the Egyptians mimicked a few of Moses's plagues, turning the water into blood and the staff. And I think they had some insects come, but they could mimic them, but they couldn't stop these things.
And they got to a point where they said, you know what, sorry, Pharaoh, we can't.
Don't you know that Egypt has been destroyed? Come on. So the Antichrist, who's claiming to be God, must be really peeved that he cannot control the weather.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Or breathe out fire from his mouth.
Yeah, so here's the time. So look at Revelation 11, right? These are the 2 olive tree lampstands. Lampstands stand before the Lord. If anyone would harm them, fire comes out of their mouth. If anyone would harm them, this is how he is to be doomed, right? For 42 months, 3.5 years. But then when you go to Revelation 13:7, also it was allowed, describing the Antichrist and his rule here on the earth, also it was allowed to make war on the saints and to conquer them. Wait a minute. I think it's safe to say that those 2 witnesses are saints. They're prophets. They're God's prophets here on earth. So I don't understand how they could be on the earth at the same time as the Antichrist if he's allowed to make war on the saints and to conquer them. And authority was given it over every tribe, every people, every language, every nation, including Israel, including Jerusalem. Verse 8, and all who dwell on the earth. All last time in my Bible meant all. All who dwell on the earth will worship it. Anyone whose name has not been written before the foundation of the world in the book of life of the Lamb was slain. So I don't see how this description of the Antichrist could be happening simultaneously with the 2 witnesses in Jerusalem preaching to the world. And how do we know that? Because in Revelation 11, when they die, it says the whole world seeing these 2 guys act a fool. The whole world see these 2 guys, nobody can touch them. And when they are finally killed, it says that they exchange gifts because they're happy that these 2 witnesses who are preaching against homosexuality, preaching against transgenderism, preaching against all the sins of the world, finally when they are killed, we celebrate, we got these 2 guys out of our hair. So I don't see how these 2 things could be going on simultaneously. But again, I could be proven wrong. But we'll see.
That's why we have these discussions.
That's why we have these discussions.
We want people to think about it and to investigate it.
Yep.
So there's a number of people who think so we have Elijah, we have Moses, we have Enoch. Some people think it was the Apostle John, or it was John the Baptist that's coming back.
Oh, so they think the 2 witnesses are going to be...
Some think Enoch.
Wait, so they're gonna be saints that are already in heaven?
Right.
Oh, what so, and I've heard that before. Why is that? Why do people believe that?
Okay, so if you think about, they were given power. First of all, they were to witness repentance and the coming of the Lord. That was their message. They were given power. We talked about the power. They stop the rain, can spew fire out of their mouth, and they're clothed in sackcloth, which was the prophets wore sackcloth. That was basically goat's hair. It's very, very coarse and scratchy clothes. But so let's look at, in lieu of what they're doing. So Enoch, we don't have any, even though Enoch is mentioned in Jude, he was a hellfire and brimstone preacher. We get that out of Jude. I don't know if there's anything where he had talked to Jesus. There's none of the scriptures where he talked to Jesus. Moses and Elijah both talked to Jesus. Both of them ended up at Mount Sinai.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that if Noah talked with God,
yeah,
all
Noah,
the other ones talked to him.
Yeah,
I'm pretty
yeah.
sure Enoch had some conversations.
Yeah,
with
so
the
he
Lord,
may have,
yeah.
but it's not recorded.
Yeah, it's
in
not
scripture.
recorded, but yeah.
But interesting, Moses and Elijah were both on Mount Sinai. Moses when he gave the law, and Elijah when he fled from Jezebel, and so they both were there. Some say John the Baptist, some say Enoch.
But again, why does it have to be a if you want to call it a resurrected saint? Why, Rick? You could do that. Somebody else could do that.
Could do what?
What the two prophets do?
Yeah, if God gave him the power to do it.
Exactly.
So
why do we have to be resurrected? Because I never understood that.
Well, Elijah was never resurrected. He was raptured, so we have he had never died. It says it is appointed unto man once to die, and after this the judgment. But Moses was dead, but dead people have been risen from the dead. Lazarus was.
I understand that, but why does it have to be an Enoch, a Moses, or an Elijah? Why can't God take two faithful men in Israel today to be those two witnesses?
I don't know. I've just always, because of the power that they were given, and their ministries, their former ministries, and the ministry that they're going to have at Revelation. That's why I think that's it. So, one of the key verses that gives me credence to believe that is the last three chapters of Malachi, chapter 4, and
we have that reference. Malachi 4:4 reads, "Remember the law of my servant Moses, the statutes, the rules that I command him at Horeb for all Israel. Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the great and awesome day of the Lord comes, and he will turn the hearts of fathers to the children and the hearts of children to their fathers, lest I come and strike the land with a decree of utter destruction." Now, reading that on face value, it could be reference the second coming, but this is what Christ referenced when he said, if you believe it, John the Baptist was the Elijah to come. And so Christ references this to John the Baptist, but yeah, I don't know if that's you tell me this because sometimes scriptures are used in double prophecy. So
right. Well,
I think possibly this is also
it could have a double meaning too. John the Baptist was not physically Elijah, but he had a ministry of Elijah.
Correct.
And so I think and also there was always a historical, most of the time for prophecy, there was a historical precedent and a future precedent too. Precedent.
Yes.
So, and then Hebron or Horeb is, they're synonymous terms for Mount Sinai.
Well, that's the ancient name of Mount Sinai.
Yes. So, and then, is there another verse? And I thought there was one more.
There's one about Revelation.
No, I thought there was one more that names.
You had the other one about Revelation 11:6.
No, it was Malachi. And he shall turn.
He shall turn what?
He shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to the fathers.
That's it, verse 6 right here.
Okay, verse 5. Oh, yeah. So, yeah. Okay, behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the great and awesome day of the Lord comes.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that he mentioned Moses and Elijah in that last verse, I lean more toward Moses and Elijah, but that's just my best educated guess with the scriptures we talked about.
As being the two witnesses.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, here's a good.
We're all going to find out one day.
The bad news is not sure. The good news is it's coming soon.
That was good.
We'll be able to figure it out pretty soon, I think, here. Because, again, I remain convinced that what we're seeing is not normal. It is supernatural. You can't be this stupid and this evil unless you are underneath the sway of the deluding spirit spoken of, I believe, in Thessalonians. And I do believe Christ is coming back. Again, I don't know the day or the hour, but the season is right.
Yes, exactly.
The season, there's so much deception. Oh, my goodness. And the more and more you look at things, Rick, it's like, you saw this Fannie Willis woman, the DA, the Georgia down there. How on earth can you defend this woman? But some sort of way, I see it over and over and over again. People are suspending all reason and all logic to foolishly accept things that are clearly not true.
I know.
I mean, this is not, as I say, this is not normal stupidity.
It's willful stupidity.
It's not even, it makes no sense.
Stupidity doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I guess not. All right. Thanks a lot, Rick. Thank you all for
thanks,
listening.
Pastor.
Stay tuned with us. We'll be back next week to discuss, again, the end times and the coming of our Lord. Thank you and God bless.
For such a time as this,